Thank you so much, Salvi and Amy. That was a fantastic fireside chat. And welcome to GatherVerse Education Crisis Day 1. And I've been loving the roundtables so far. But today, or shall I say right now, we have a fantastic list of panelists with us today, where we're going to be talking about the future learner, what they need to know. So I'm really looking forward to this roundtable discussion. Panelists, what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick introduction from each of yourselves, 30 seconds to a minute, and then once everyone's been introduced, then we'll get straight into the questions. So we'll start with Stephanie, and then we'll head over to Coach Paulo, which I remember you from last time, Paulo, so it's great to see you again as well. And also Dr. Venue as well has just joined us. Great to see you as well, Dr. Venue. But yeah, we'll start with you, Stephanie, and great to see you again as well.
Great to see you as well. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited about this topic because I've been actively telling people about this as much as possible. I'm Stephanie Sylvester, co-founder of Avatar Buddy, and we make AI agents and digital twins to help amplify employees and people to be their best selves so that they can increase productivity and ultimately have more time to spend with other humans.
Great to have you with us, Stephanie, and welcome to GatherVerse once again. Coach Paulo, great to see you again as well, whilst he's on his phone right there. Do you want to do a quick introduction yourself, those who don't know you?
Okay. Hello, I'm Paulo Mendes. I'm from Brazil, but I been living in Cape Town, South Africa. And yeah, I'm super excited about it. AI is here. We need to embrace it. I believe it's coming to help us. We're never going to be replaced because AI can make our work easier and simpler, and then we can dedicate more to the human connection. So I'm super excited to be part of this panel and to learn more also.
Paulo, thank you so much for being with us today. Devin, great to see you once again as well. Been a while, but yeah, please introduce yourself for those who don't know who you are.
Likewise, always good to see you. My name is Devin Baldwin. I'm a WebXR engineer and also educator. Just simple and plain as that. I'm a creative technologist. I help people and companies educate their people on how to educate more so than often.
Love it, Devin. Thank you so much. So that's such a quick introduction. Like, that was like the speed of light, not joking. Dr. Venue, we're going to head over to you now. Please introduce yourself, and then we'll go over to Naranda next.
Hi, Russell.
Great to see you.
I'm to the AI consulting.
We can't hear you, Dr. Venue. It's very quiet and muffled, so we'll come back to you very shortly. And Naranda, please introduce yourself, and also welcome to GatherVerse. And also, if you just want to tilt your camera just slightly down so we can see more of you. There we go. Okay. Naranda, thank you very much. Please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Russell. Thanks for having me in this discussion. So my name is Narendra Reddy. I'm working as a lead software engineer at Prudential. Here in Prudential in technology, we use a lot of AI tools. So I wanted to share some of my experience that might help for the future learners. So I'm really excited to be part of this discussion.
I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say, Narendra. And it's great to also have you with us. Orestes, great to see you once again as well. Please introduce yourself and also welcome back once again.
Hello, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me nice and loud.
Loud and clear this time, yes.
So my name is Orestes Spirou. I come from Greece. I'm located in Wageningen, Netherlands. I'm the founder of a company that is called DigiFastVerse, in which we are researching disruptive and digital transformation for a cross variety of sectors: agriculture, education, healthcare, and also metaverse application. I'm an artist, entrepreneur. I produce music and fine art. but also my background lies in biosystems engineering, IT, and creative technologies.
Multi-talented as always, Orestes. Great to see you again as well. And last but not least, Zana. I don't know if this is your first time or not, but this is the first time I've met you. So hello and welcome to GatherVerse, and please introduce yourself.
Of course. Nice to meet you, Russell. My name is Zaina English. I'm a former science teacher turned data analyst. And I have spent the last couple of years focusing more on how AI is interacting in both the public and private sector. I typically work with clients, whether they're government clients, private clients, or even nonprofit clients on trying to figure out AI policy and implementation. And I'm really here today because my focus is in education. One of the things I am really looking at and really researching is how AI is being applied to the education field and how we are using AI to educate learners, not just students in high school, but at all levels and ranges. I'm very excited to be on this panel with everyone and to meet everyone. And I hope that our gather will be read well. I'm looking forward to the discussion as well as learning from everyone here.
Absolutely, Zana, and thank you so much for joining us, and welcome also. And then last but not least, I guess I'll have to introduce myself now, and then we've got to... Actually, sorry, Dr. Venue, you're back again. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, Russell, and I'm working on AI enterprise implementation solutions and the AI literacy program.
We're still having difficulties with your microphone, Dr. Venue. Apologies for that. So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Russell. I'm the co-founder of Just Verify, also Global Affairs Director at GatherVerse. And Just Verify is focused on building the trust infrastructure for AI. We're focused on verifying the integrity and trustworthiness of AI models to allow you to have your own choices and your own on what AI you want to adopt, rather than being told what to trust or being blindly trusting something. So that's what we basically do in a nutshell at Just Verify. So anyway, let's get into the questions. So question 1. How do we define the future learner and how are they different? I think this is such an important question because, as you all know, we're all individual learners ourselves. We constantly study every single day. Well, I do, at least anyway. Yeah, I think it's such an important question. So I think we'll start with Paolo on this one because I'm curious to hear what you have to say, Paolo, and then we'll go over to Stephanie after.
All right, that's a great question. Thank you, Russell. Great to be here again. And I remember a few years back where my son was in high school, finishing high school, my youngest son, now 17 years old, and he was required to take a laptop to school with him because all the material was being done online. And I mean, I know in America and Europe, that's old news, but here in Cape Town, South Africa, there was, in a public school, there was news, right? There was a new thing.
Yeah.
And now he studies online with AI teaching. And he has the tests are done with actual live teachers, but all the teaching is done through AI. And I remember, who remembers here the Jetsons, the cartoon, the Jetsons?
We all do.
We're showing our age, right? But, I have this vision of a world where AI is an incredible tool to help us identify what learning styles each student has, and then be able to cater for each student's different style. That's what I have been experiencing with my 2 sons. One is graduated, the other one is doing now his last year in high school. And the way they study is completely different. The way they learn is completely different. And because the younger one is having this experience now with AI, we took him from a school setup where he was labeled as a troubled student, couldn't focus, couldn't pay attention, couldn't follow up with the curriculum, to now being a top-level student with the new system using parallel with AI. So I don't know if I'm answering exactly what you wanted as an answer there, but to me, the experience of AI in identifying what our unique students, our unique learners, I believe that AI caters for students that are unique individuals that want to learn. And we're breaking away from the old system. That is a possibility that I see.
It's very interesting, Paolo, because it's also like a hybrid model, right? Think about it. Like, I know, obviously, it's, you know, I don't know Cape Town, so I can't talk on Cape Town, but I know in general, you know, people are using computers every day. You know, we're talking about phones every day, etc., etc. So, you know, if we're defining what a future learner is, could that potentially be, let's say, a hybrid learner? Could that be an AI literate learner? Could that be an AI assisted learner? Like, you know, how it's kind of hard to define what a future learner is when it comes to the AI age. So I think what you're touching upon there, where you're saying computers are coming in for the first time, now AI is coming in for the first time within Cape Town. And it's like, you know, how do we, for other countries, not just the first world countries, but also the third world countries, how do we distribute that evenly and making sure everyone is having a chance to learn, right, Paolo?
Yeah, there are so many tools online available. I mean, we all heard the expression that, you know, we live in a global village, right? With TikTok
True.
and Instagram and the social media, internet in general, we all exposed to the same tools that are available now to learn about AI. So I agree with you. I believe that the new learner is a hybrid learner. It's somebody.
Completely right.
When I speak of my son being 16, 17 years old, he was brought up. AI to him is part of his education system. That was perhaps the message that I wanted to bring about. You know, AI to him is part of his learning experience. To me, being 50 something years old is an experience. I'm learning AI. To him, AI is to him what working with a cell phone was to me 20 years ago, right? So the students now, I see you laughing, Stephanie, right? We go through the same challenge. You know, back 10, 20 years ago, we would joke about, oh, you want to learn how to go online on your cell phone or how to do things on your cell phone, ask a 14-year-old, right? Now we're having the same experience with 14, 15, 16-year-old students on AI. I dare to say a 12-year-old, my son's best friend is a 12-year-old, has a 12-year-old little brother. And he comes here and he connects everything for us. He was teaching me how to use Claude AI, where all I knew was ChatGPT and Gemini from Google, right? And
Yeah.
he's teaching me how to code on Claude. I'm like, what? Too much for me right now, right? 12-year-old.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah,
crazy. That's crazy.
the new learner is a hybrid learner for sure.
100% agree. And Stephanie, let's bring you into this conversation. I'm curious to hear A, your perspective on this, but also B, you know, when we're talking about avatar buddies, right? Could we potentially be having, you know, every single individual person having their own avatar buddy for education, even, or something like that, even?
Well, if I have my way, every single person would have an AI buddy that helps them, supports them, and ensures that they maintain equilibrium, because that equilibrium, that's when we're our best. And obviously, we started this because we wanted to be able to help people be the best versions of themselves. With that said, when you think about learning today, it's very rote. It's very much the person who can write the best, who can take the best tests. Those are the people that are considered smart. And what that does is it overlooks a vast sector of people. With AI, that will no longer be a differentiator, because if you have a properly configured AI tool, like I have an AI editor, an editor buddy that is configured to help me write, and my writing has vastly improved since I started using it. And so my ideas are being communicated more efficiently and effectively. Before, I was at a disadvantage. If somebody can memorize something for a test, again, right, we're not going to be having to give tests for you to recall information. We're going to be having to give tests to show that you have content knowledge, and demonstrating of content knowledge is way more complex. And most of the time, teachers don't have the time or the wherewithal to be able to administer those tests. AI can administer those tests ongoing in a much faster way. We're working on a solution we're calling qualitative student assessment, where the AI can go look at your exam results at the question level across exams, across courses, and based on whatever goal you're trying to accomplish, tell you where your content where you have content deficiency. So no longer do we get these students that are getting B's and have anywhere from 15 to 17% content deficiency. And we normally cheer when somebody gets a B and move them forward. But that means that now we can actually drill in because of AI. So I think that in the future, people are going to need to know how to learn. So there was a time when I was going to school, they taught us how to learn. Now, I don't think that they're being taught how to learn just based on interacting with people. The moment the sequence of events don't happen as the way it's supposed to, you see people going sideways, stopping, and not knowing what the next steps are. And that's an indication of somebody that doesn't know how to learn. And with AI, you will need to know how to learn. And I also think that AI will require greater emotional intelligence, the ability to do interpersonal interaction. And I profess that the future of learning should be predicated on birth through 8 years old, that you're focused on emotional skills, self-soothing, self-management, self-control, self-agency. And then after that, we start teaching you content, information, technical skills. Because if you have those skills, then learning becomes easier. You have a desire to learn. There's not a tussle with the teachers to learn. So I can see that AI pushing this and making it not a dream anymore, but a greater sense of urgency, and the students whose parents allow them to embrace this new way of learning will excel much, much faster, and it will have no bearing on their socioeconomic background. And as I travel around the world, and I go to South Africa, I'm actually really, really impressed by the level of advanced technologically they are. I mean, I went to Africa for 6 weeks, and I used just my cell phone to pay, and I was buying things from people from the side of the street. I can't even do that in Miami. So just a reset for people that if you really want to know where AI is going to go, you need to go spend time in Africa, because that's where they're really doing some really cool, innovative, different things and winning.
Yeah, they do. And one thing I know about Africa is they're also doing a lot about blockchain and crypto and everything like that as well. So, but anyway, that's a whole different discussion. But yeah, I completely agree with you. You know, I think two things. One, remaining curious. No matter who you are, always be curious. Always be curious about learning. Always be curious about what something is. Always question it, etc. And two, you know, when we're talking about learning, I don't think any of us ever stop learning, so to speak, right? I mean, we're talking about life experiences. We're talking about even just like learning in general. So, I mean, like for example, the UK government here has given 10 million. Is going to educate 10 million people here in the UK by 2030, right? In order to have them to have AI literacy, etc. So, and obviously official certification. But anyway, the point I'm getting at is, education is extremely important, no matter who you are, what your background is, or where you're from, right? And I think always remaining curious and always being curious in terms of what's happening, what's going on. I think that's fundamental and is like the bottom line in terms of learning more. So, especially in the age of AI. So let's go on to next question now, which is, What foundational knowledge must remain non-negotiable to the future learners? So, Devin, I can see you nodding your head over there, so I'll tag you in on this one, and then we'll go to you next, Zaina, and then Orestes and Narendra will head over to you very shortly. Devin, over to you.
Thank you, my friend. And I just wanted to also clarify and kind of also agree with what you said. It's not in pertaining directly within the context of students, because we all are students of life. We learn every single day through our experiences. So we are the future learners as well. But, you know, some things do not become optional just because AI exists. Literacy, numeracy, scientific reasoning, historical context, communication, like ethical reasoning, all these things are very important core foundations for the future learner, as far as they still need to read deeply, they still need to write clearly, reason quantitatively, and judge the quality, you know, of what they consume. Because ultimately, it is a content firestorm. It's just constantly AI, and just the world that we live in today, we consume a lot of information. So
100%.
it'll be very important to have these core foundations solidified so we can, or they can, you know, decipher what is real, what is not, what is good, what is bad. And that's also subjective itself. But I just feel like those are just some core non-negotiables for future learners that will be important to making sure that they could function within this next phase of life.
You do bring up some really interesting points, and you know, it also makes me think about the sort of AR and XR glasses, right? You know, when we're looking at them, you know, I mean, some person, I remember, like, he was, this was a use case that happened, but there was interviewing some person because they did a crime. And basically what they did was they caught him talking to the AI on the glasses on how to respond in the interview. And they didn't notice until they got to about the second or third interview that he was speaking to AI on the glasses. So anyway, what was the point that I'm getting at? Like, I think, you know, what you're saying there, the non-negotiables, absolutely agree with. But also, is there also going to be new non-negotiables? Like, for example, that sort of use case I just told you there. Could there also be new ones like that too as well, Darwin?
Well, I mean, absolutely. I mean, with the technology that we have today and the technology that we're going to have, there's a lot of slippery slopes, ethically and technologically, like using glasses in legal proceedings to talk to AI. The number one is crazy work. Like, you gotta be really desperate or really just not know.
Yeah, my lawyer's AI and glasses.
Yeah, it's like, I'm defending myself. It's me and my meta glasses. No, that's
yeah,
really funny. But yeah, there is a slippery slope, because ultimately it goes back to one of the GatherVerses that we had a while back about constantly just agreeing to these terms of services. We don't know what liberties or what different faculties that we are surrendering at this point. So when we do things like use our glasses within these legal proceedings, we're not exactly sure what we're implicating ourselves in, or if that could be used against us later. But that's a different conversation.
Absolutely. Zaina, I want to bring you on this conversation from your point of view and from your lens, or maybe even your own personal experience, Zaina. What foundation knowledge must remain non-negotiable to the future learners from maybe even you, or even for other future learners that you maybe teach or a part of, or even in the classroom? You get my drift. What is from your point of view from that side of things?
Thank you for the question. And I'm just going to say, I think Stephanie and Devin really hit the points on the head of talking about critical thinking skills being incredibly important, allowing or teaching students and people how to think, how to learn, how to work through a problem. Giving or having our students or having future learners understand the foundational content knowledge, rote memory, being able to, in the moment, pull information from past information or past learnings that they've had, building knowledge from the ground up. From my own point of view, what we're oftentimes are now seeing is that people are beginning to offload that process onto AI. And that is the thing that we really want to prevent people from happening. We want people to use AI as a partner, not as a crutch, or not, in a sense, we're using it to get through things, because one of the big things about AI is that AI hallucinates. It gets things wrong. So in addition to what Devin was saying about having people be able to read, we really need to teach our future learners to be investigators, to be skeptics, to be able to go and check, to have the foundational knowledge, to know how to go and reference information. So showing my age, back in the day, I grew up in a time and a day and time where I was told I could not use Wikipedia to cite anything, but I could use the sources that Wikipedia cited. And going and being be able to fact check things. One of the things that I really am very big on now is teaching people, especially in this day and age, and even going in the future, is going to have new types of media literacy. Devin touched on literacy. Media literacy is so big, mainly because the fact, in addition to we have to worry about AI hallucinating or sometimes making up whole articles, whole journals, we also have to worry about deep fakes and videos, because people also learn by watching the news, by watching content. Well, how do I know this video was not AI generated? How do I know this person who created this video is a trustworthy source, or the information that's being given to me in this video is trustworthy? So we have to teach students to be able to naturally investigate that, knowing where to go and how to kind of go through the investigative process of checking our information, checking our steps, verifying our information, which I think in the age of AI, that is going to be something that's going to be a real challenge to do. And it's going to involve, I know this is getting a little bit off topic, it's going to involve not just educators, but it's going to involve communities, policymakers, in order to create and make sure that we have a good foundational knowledge base to teach people and for people to keep learning.
Let's dive into some of that a bit more. We're talking about deepfakes. Let's kind of dive into that. But let's also dive into sort of the misinformation, disinformation, etc. as well. We all know that misinformation, disinformation has been around for a very long time. When we kind of dive into that aspect, we have recursive learning going on right now. If you don't know what recursive learning is, this is basically AI training AI, right, in a nutshell, with different data. So my question is if we have this frenzy of deepfakes, misinformation, disinformation, etc., and it's all getting worse, and then we also have synthetic data also adding to that mix as well, and adding more misinformation and disinformation, isn't this going to eventually just spiral out of control, and then we don't know what to believe, like as in what we see, what we hear, what we do, what we learn as well, right? And also, it's just going to get worse. So Zaina, my question to you is this just going to get worse? Like, as in, can people actually truly learn from AI if we have this recursive learning going on?
It's funny, and I'm so glad you asked that question, because as someone who works with data, that is one of the things that we ask ourselves the question all the time, because AI is built off of the data that goes into the model. So as you pointed out, if we're getting bad information, if the information is not truly verifiable or it's synthetic data, it's not real data, what exactly are we creating our outputs on? And to that question, that is something to actually worry about. But what I would say is that when we're creating AI models, we actually need to streamline what data is going into the model. Instead of trying to feed the model everything, we should make it so that that we have an AI that is specifically for medical knowledge, an AI that is specifically that works with architecture, instead of trying to make it be for everything. Because when you open more, when you open or you basically input more data in it, it's once you start adding large quantities of data, it becomes harder and harder and harder to check. Whereas if you're just dealing with a small sample.
Zaina, you're breaking up there. Zaina, you're breaking up.
It's easier that talking about. Oh, sorry.
Okay, you're breaking up. We'll pause there, Zaina. Thank you so much for sharing that. We'll tag you in just a minute, Stephanie. Just one thing I want to add as well. If you think about, and just in very simple terms, if you think about the context windows that you're using, right?
Okay, can you hear me
within
now?
ChatGPT, within Gemini, yes, we can, Zaina. But if you think about like the context windows, like when you're using ChatGPT, when you're using Gemini, when you're using multiple other, any other models, Claude, etc., as it goes over time, because it keeps going and going and going and going and going in the chat, eventually it gets to the point where it starts telling you wrong things. It then starts going, oh, well, I don't remember that. Sorry. All these kind of sort of things happen. So just to give you a bit of context of what Zaina's discussing about, if you use ChatGPT yourself, you'll understand that after a while, it's just like, okay, start a new chat, right? So thank you very much, Zaina, for sharing your thoughts. Stephanie, we'll hand over to you. Apologies about that. But yeah, please share your thoughts quickly.
So I totally agree that those predictions are coming fast and furious with us. But there's also a way, I think back to the beginning of the internet time. So I'm definitely dating myself. And we were like, we should just make this big, wild, worldwide web that everything is in there. And then we quickly realized that was not going to be tenable. And we went to portals. And so what we're doing now is data vaults of content that's interrelated or specialized. And then AI agents that are highly trained for one or two specific tasks. So not a generalist, but a very specific thing. If you take the field of finance, you would have about 5 or 6 AI agents that are helping you get the work done, because each one is specialized. And when you do that, hallucination goes down because the data has been verified, it's clean. Secondly, because you're telling the AI what it's doing and it's highly specialized, you don't need to give it complex prompting for it to give you back the results almost instantaneously. So instead of asking it 5 or 6 iteration, you can ask it maybe 1, 2 questions, and it will produce exactly what you're looking for. And that's where I see the future of AI going. And when you move in that direction, you must have humans in the loop. And with a solution like that, with humans in the loop, that's what restores the integrity of AI again. And so I don't see how continuing to build bigger and bigger models gets us to that. It's going to be smaller and smaller and specialized models, like how we have portals. I mean, we don't even think about portals, but there was a time where portals was like a new novel thing to do. And now everybody has a portal. Nobody even thinks about it.
Yeah, and I mean, I do agree specialized models are better. Even specialized models still have their issues. For example, they can't always call tools. You know, there's like anywhere between 2 to 6% chance of it not being able to call the correct tool. There are other issues within a system or workflow that can go wrong. But to the point of the foundational of what you're saying, Stephanie, are smaller models definitely better than bigger models overall in terms of what they specialize and what they do? For sure, 100% agree with that. Just depending on what your use case is, but we could get into cross verification analysis and all that kind of sort of stuff too. But the point is I do agree with what Stephanie's saying, and Zaina, what you're saying too, right? In terms of the recursive learning and the data and everything like that as well. There's just a big problem around all this, and one thing what we do at Just Verify, which is fundamental, is verification. So that's kind of like what we do. As I like to say, Just Verify is basically the bread and butter. It's basically we do what we say on the tin. We verify everything. So, but anyway, let's get to the next question. So the next question is, how can we cultivate discernment in the age of information overload? Orestes, we're going to go to you, and then Narendra, we're going to go to you next. And thank you so much for your patience, both of you. I really appreciate that, as we've been having very heavy discussion. But Orestes, please share your thoughts.
To begin with, thank you all of the speakers for the useful information. This question is correlated with the previous one, so we can cultivate discernment in the age of information overload with many ways. First and foremost, critical and slow thinking, I think, is what is the first one in the list of prioritization. The source evaluation, where are we getting the input, but also the output of these models. The pattern recognition, if we see multiple patterns that they are, let's say, repeated, then we have to critically think about these patterns. Meta-learning as a term, which is like knowing how, and in general, the critical thinking, I think, is the basic one that we should embrace, because in most of the times, in the age of restless and constant information overload, I think critical thinking is what is overshadowed.
I also think, and let me ask you this question, Orestes, and maybe you can give me a good answer. Do you think it's maybe also good that we learn in incrementals rather than trying to take everything in all at once? I'll take that as a yes.
Okay. Yes, that's the obvious answer, right? For sure, yeah, that's an obvious answer. I think everyone agreed on it.
Narendra, let's bring you into this conversation as well. When we talk about the age of information overload, you have actually built some incredible tools, architected numerous, AI models, etc. So, how can we cultivate the discernment in the age of the information overload, so to speak, from your point of view?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Russell. So, my perspective about discernment is really about judgment, right? So, we need to take the real world use cases especially in the technology world, right? We have a lot of AI tools available, especially when you are working on a solution, right? There are some tools like Claude Code or Cursor AI. There are a lot of tools which generally it generates the code, and it also sometimes builds the entire app. But the thing what we have to do is, as an engineer, we have to judge whether it is really building the solution properly. So the judgment is really important, especially in the technology world. So I would say this is more about the learners have to pause a bit and think about who created this, and what's the evidence supports it, right? They have to pause and think before agreeing for certain solutions. So that's the way I would think about it.
You bring out some good points there. I guess my follow-up question, Narendra, is if we look at this from a different perspective, let's say maybe not information overload, but let's say just people first-time learners or people that have no idea about AI and they're literally just treading their toe in the water, and then all of a sudden they just get this flood of just.
So yeah,
What?
definitely, like the new learners. I mean, the tool it can give anything, right? So, and especially when we are working in an organization where we have a lot of rules and we have to build certain governance around it and guardrails around it, like before you accept something, so that way we can prevent something which before you generate and accept something. So that way the governance body and the architectural things more important when they are solutioning something.
Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts, Narendra. And as a trust architect myself, I completely agree with what you're saying. So let's go on to the next question now. And Paolo, we're going to be tagging you back in. You always have very interesting insights, so I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on this. What distinctly human capabilities will grow in value as automation advances? And as you know, Paolo, everything is moving faster and faster rather than slowing and slowing. So
I want to honor what Stephanie mentioned first, which is critical thinking. That's a human capability that it's fundamental to the whole process. I remember my father, now 92 years old, teaching me how to use a screwdriver. And you have the flat one and you have the Phillips one, the one with the cross screws. And he says,
yeah, I know exactly what you're about.
and try to use a butter knife to open or to unscrew something, right?
I've done that before as well.
Exactly. So he would say to me, any work is easy if you know which tool to use and how to use the tool correctly, right?
True.
So again, in a generation that we are coming into now with information overload, with automation, and all those processes that are available to us to enrich our lives, we must never forget that those things are happening to enrich our lives. In every decade, in every century, there has been tools, there has been innovation, there has been transformational aspects in each industry that at that point the people were like, oh my God, are we going to be replaced? Are we going to be replaced? Are those things replacing us? No. The human mind is still the biggest, best computer. But we must never forget, and that's what I quoted Stephanie and Zana, is that we must not forget that our ability to critical think, to question things, to be curious about things, that is the human capability that AI cannot replace.
Totally agree.
That's what put us back in control. Just to give one quick example, I was with my son at a aquarium fish pet shop yesterday, and I took a picture of this one planarium. It's a mix of aquarium and plants and things, and I was joking with him. I have a super advanced camera on the cell phone, right? And I was so disappointed that I could not see on the camera what I was seeing with my eyes. And I looked at him and I showed him the picture and I said, look at the aquarium. Now tell me, how is AI going to replace us?
That's true. That is true. Because I mean, it makes you think, right? Like the brain has over 80 billion neurons within your mind, right? Anywhere between 80 billion to 120 billion, I don't know. But the point that I'm getting at is
112 billion. Now speaking on my territory, life coaching.
But the point what I'm getting at is the mind has so many neurons and it's very sophisticated and complicated, and we don't even know everything about the brain, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, how do we compare that right now with AI? Because even AI is still new and everything right today. So it's like you said, the brain is the most advanced, I guess, if you want to call it, intelligence, right? Now, is it obviously smart? Like, is AI smarter than a lot of us right now? You could argue yes, but I think the question is I don't think it's really like an and or. It's more kind of like, how is it going to collaboratively come together so that we both come together? Because at the end of the day, as we like to say, Pandora's at the box now. It's not going to go back in. So how do we cultivate it now, so to speak, and use it to our advantage, right, so to speak, or for humanity in a nutshell?
So the point of AI, in my perspective, and what I see in my working with clients and with friends, is that it can make your work faster because it accumulates more information at one data point, at one place, right? And so it can achieve a result, or you're doing a research, or you're requiring something, or you're automating with bots, right? And it can make the work faster and simpler for a person, but you still need the person. So
True.
going back to what Stephanie was mentioning, we still need to focus education on teaching people to think by themselves, to have, Devin mentioned that, critical thinking, to have understanding, to be able to reason things and comprehend and ask questions. I remember talking to my kids in school when they were going through primary school to high school, and talking to them, you need to have text comprehension, read something, ask questions, and understand, not just memorize, not just parrot learning. So that's where, in terms of distinct human capabilities, that's where we need to put focus back on.
Well, Paolo,
we need to have intelligent people to have intelligent AI.
Paolo, I'm going to have to jump in because we've run out of time. We've got 2 minutes left. So just to round everything up, first of all, it's been such an insightful discussion. Thanks to each and every one of the panelists on here today. I want to say that, first of all. Second of all, make sure you go and follow them on LinkedIn. Go on and check them out, connect with them, speak with them, talk about AI stuff and the future of learning, but also follow the journey, connect, comment, etc. as well. So that is it from us here at GatherVerse for this roundtable discussion. And up next, we're going to be having a fireside chat coming up in just a minute, I believe. Yes, so our guest is here. So we're going to be having the fireside chat next. And that is it for this roundtable discussion. So thank you very much, panelists, and our Gather was well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Gather's team. Okay.